Hi guys, my name is Debbie Reyna and I'm a realtor here in the state of Illinois, and I specialize in the north, northwest, and western suburbs, pretty much anything north of I-80 and outside of like the Bridge and Oakbrook area west. So I have been a longtime Illinois resident, born and raised here, and so I've been in a lot of the areas. I thought I'd give you a little history about myself. So I decided to do a YouTube channel because I feel like for myself, it's a great place to reference material and it stays out there forever. So you can always go back and review things if you'd like to. I am working at Home Smart Connect, and I'm currently in our West Dundee office, which is adorable. It's a little home right here on 72. It's real cute. I thought I'd give you a little history about myself. So I have been in this industry for over 35 years. I know I only look like I'm 35, but I have been doing this for over 35 years. I have worked for a title company. I then went on to wholesale lending, which is the end lender. So if you go to apply for a mortgage through a broker, they're the ones that actually are funding the loan and making the rules and all of that. So I underwrote for them and I was a sales rep for them. And so I was working on structuring people's deals for them. In addition to that, then I opened my own title company, and I had my own title company in Schaumburg, Illinois for 10 years. And then I decided to get out of that and work a little bit in a different arena. So I became a loan officer, and I worked for a friend for about 5 years at his mortgage brokerage. So I've kind of seen all the different sides of the industry. In addition, I have bought and sold many homes myself. And so my husband and I retired. We moved to Florida for a few years, and we came back to Illinois, and I decided that I could not get enough of this industry, and so I decided to jump back in, and I got my real estate license. I've always enjoyed working like with my family and friends, helping them find their dream homes and that. Even if they were working with realtors, I was always having fun behind the scenes, helping them with that, trying to figure out what they would qualify for and all of that. So trying to give them a little bit of guidance. So that's kind of my history, so you kind of have an idea of who I am and what I'm doing. I wanted to talk to you about the NAR settlement, and I don't want to really go into details on that entirely, but since I've gotten my license, I've had a lot of people ask me, you know, oh, this is a bad time to get in. Aren't the realtors all being sued? And, you know, I don't think realtors are going to exist after this. So the gist of the lawsuit was an antitrust and a price fixing issue. From my understanding, it was basically that people would say, well, the standard commission is 3% or 4% or whatever. And so that's kind of what got people into trouble. So apparently that is where that problem stems from. So I have had many people say to me, well, now with Redfin and Zillow and Realtor.com and all these things, you don't really need a realtor to buy and sell real estate. And I guess that could be true, depending on who you are and what's important. I thought I would give you some examples from my own perspective. So again, after 35 years in this industry, I still have always used a realtor when I have bought and sold homes. So I want to give you just a couple ideas as to why I do think it's still important to have a realtor to protect you and have somebody working for you. First of all, I had a home that I sold, and when I sold it, I went on Zillow, and Zillow said that my home was worth about $290,000. And I was not in agreement with that. And by the way, it was all 3 websites, and they all had that value somewhere in that range. And so I disagreed with that immensely. I got a realtor to come in. We discussed the values. I discussed why I thought that their values were way off, and we ended up selling the home for $385,000 cash. So had I not gotten a realtor, and had I just gone with the values that were provided by those other websites, I would have lost close to $100,000. That's a lot of money to me. Another instance that I can tell you about is another piece of property that I own. The websites all show that it is worth probably $30,000 more than I believe I could list it for. And the reason for that is that the home that I am talking about is an age-restricted community, and the comps from Zillow and Realtor and all those, they're pulling in all of the people in the area and some of those people aren't age restricted. So the age restricted thing can be a plus and a minus. If you definitely don't want to have youngsters in your neighborhood, it's definitely a plus, but the buying pool is a lot smaller. So if I were listing this on my own, again, without a realtor, not having any knowledge, and I listed it for what they would suggest that the home is worth, if I were to do that, in that case, I believe that home would just sit and sit and sit and sit and sit. And in the meantime, even though if you're not in a hurry or whatever, but you still have your carrying costs. So you're still, even if this was an investment property and you were gonna pull out all that cash, you have to look at it that if it's paid for and everything else, you're still paying utilities, you're still paying taxes and insurance. And in addition, if you had that money in the bank, even making 5%, you're losing all of that interest as well. So it's just something to consider when you are thinking about pricing your home. You want to make sure it's priced, obviously, to get the most, as I gave in my first example, but you don't want to overprice it, as I gave it in my second example. And this is where I think it's really important to have a realtor on your side so that you have somebody that has the knowledge of, yes, this is what these websites are telling you. However, this is what we need to look at, big picture. So that is something to think about, and that's why I believe that buyers and sellers both still need to be represented. They are talking about possibly, the thought is basically that sellers may just agree to pay the listing agent and that there may be no compensation offered to the selling agent, in which case the buyers would have to be paying their own commission to the realtor that's working with them. So a lot of people are saying, well, buyers just won't need a realtor then. And again, my concern for a buyer would be, so if you go in, you're going in blindly, the seller's being represented, the seller's got somebody on their side saying, this is what I think we can get, let's hold out for this, and you're just going in with the data that you find on the internet, which again, as I've said, is not always representative of what you should be paying or what you could be paying. So I just still believe that there is an important dynamic to having your own agent and having somebody on your side. So this, I still believe, is very important, again, based on all of my experiences. Now that said, I'm gonna give you my third example, and that is, it's important to have the right realtor on your side as well. So I had also at one point sold a piece of property, and I had a realtor come out, and they just came out with their comps, and possibly it was like the same data that maybe Zillow and Realtor and all those websites were pulling, and they came in and the property they wanted me to sell, they wanted me to sell it for, or list it rather, for about $250,000. And I knew that was way too low. And I questioned the realtor as to where they got their information. And they kind of just threw some papers at me and said, these are the comps. They hadn't seen my home yet. They didn't take into account some of the things that we had done, that then when you looked at and compared the comps that they had, they weren't even in the same realm. So it ends up that, again, that home I ended up selling in 1 hour. We had it listed and it sold within the first hour to the first buyer, and it was full ask. And so we ended up where we sold it $70,000 more than what was suggested by that realtor. So my point to you is to make sure that you are represented and well represented. So you want to make sure you have talked to your realtor, that you feel comfortable, that they're, knowledgeable, looking out for your best interest. And I do still believe it is important for both parties, a buyer and seller, to be represented, no matter what the outcome of this NAR settlement is. Even though there may be a cost to the buyer, there's also thoughts, as far as a seller goes, the seller might want to reconsider only offering compensation to their own realtor, only because that might shrink the pool of buyers. FHA buyers cannot pay a commission. So depending on the price point you're looking at, you're excluding a whole group of buyers there. So basically, in conclusion, what I'm trying to say is that I still think it's important, no matter what happens with the NAR settlement and no matter what the rules come into play, I do think it's important for both parties to be represented. So if you're looking anywhere in the north, northwest, or western suburbs, or looking to sell your home there, I'd be more than happy to give you a free market analysis if it's on a listing. And also, I would love to work with you as a buyer if you are looking for your new piece of paradise. This is my passion, which is why I jumped back in again after being out of it for about 8 years. And I love what I do. So you can always reach me at 847-875-5475. I intend to put out videos. Some will be informational. Some I'm going to try and focus on different towns and suburbs around the Chicagoland area. So if you're looking for information on those, that will be available to you as well. So I hope y'all have a wonderful day, and I hope to talk to you soon. Take care.